Take two. Kyle here from All Media Reviews, here to do a vinyl and collection update stuff that I've been meaning to, and I've got more stuff coming on the way that I'm going to show maybe in a later video soon. But anyway, so this is just going to be stuff I've gotten over the last maybe month and a half, something like that, waiting for a lot of the stuff in the mail still. But so I'll get all the stuff that's not vinyl out of the way first. So the first thing I got here is the Daniel Klaus book that I did mention, showed briefly once before, Monica, which I've shown my Daniel Klaus collection. He's the author of Ghost World, who doesn't know, and he did Art School Confidential, both and adapted into Hollywood, of course, and a bunch of other graphic novels. Wilson, which was some of it was filmed in Minnesota here. But this newest one just came out, the first, I think, post-pandemic thing he's done, Monica. A lot of, you know, social and political commentary and stuff. He's very you can see there's a centaur on here. He's very great imagination. He's a graphic novelist, so he's a storyteller. He writes a lot of, you know, very brutally honest or very opinionated dialogue and characters he creates. And there's not a share of, you know, it's not PG-13. There's definitely a share of, you know, drawings of characters that are not wearing clothing, that kind of stuff. But I've read about, just a little bit, I just spent about 15 minutes the other day reading some of this, and I'm liking it. It's about maybe a character, a few different characters, but I don't know who Monica is necessarily yet. But there's this guy who's at war, and then he's got a wife or girlfriend back home, and she's involved with some of their, like, hippie and stuff, and then her family, like, you find out her family sees the guy, and I don't know, I just barely paged through it. I spent, like I said, 10 or 15 minutes, but I will hopefully get through it, and I'll do a more proper review on Monica. But, yeah, I'm a fanboy. Like I said, I showed my collection a number of years ago. I could do it again. I have basically everything from Daniel Klaus hardcovers, thanks to my wife. When she worked at Barnes & Noble, she got a deal on it, and anyways. So then I got this, the Red Paintings new documentary. There's a limited number of these left, DVD. I had a little bit of a fun time get some software to download to watch. I don't know why my laptop wasn't playing it so well, but I watched a good portion of it the other night. Red Paintings are a band from Australia, led by this guy named Trash McSweeney. His real name is like Jamie or something, but that's his stage name, is whatever. And they're quote-unquote art rock band. They do paintings. They paint human canvas, like bodies, live. They use cello and violin, and they're kind of progressive. They have one album. I showed that during my vinyl A to Z series and everything like that. But seeing some of this, I mean, it's good that they're supported by, they supported the Dresden Dolls. So you see Amanda Palmer and I think his name is Eric, the other guy, the duo, when they were just the Dresden Dolls as opposed to Amanda solo, and they did a reunion recently. But this is the tour. The footage is from 1998 through 2007. Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, I'm still going through it. They have one thing that's like related to Tim Burton's, like A Nightmare Before Christmas. They did a show, like a series of shows in Australia, and then they came to the States here. Some of it's actually, they have an official bootleg or a live album that was from First Avenue. It's only like 6 songs. In Minneapolis in like 2007. I didn't know who they were then, but probably with the Dresden Dolls. They also played with Mogwai. I haven't seen any of the footage with Mogwai yet, and cause this is over 3 hours long. There's like a proper documentary. There's different portions of it, like it is you have on many DVDs. So it came with this $100 bill prop or something from one of their videos too. And they do like I guess a lot of the stuff they're showing is their cover of Mad World, the Tears for Fears song, of course. They released that as a single. They did a whole tour supporting that. That's played a number of times in here. They did Eye of the Tiger once on here, but of course they have their own original music too, and he plays with Amanda Palmer on the Dresden Dolls with the Dresden Dolls, Trash McSweeney. But yeah, I mean, the Red Paintings, they're supposed to have a second album. They only have one proper full-length album. They have a bunch of EPs called The Revolution's Never Coming, despite being a band for 20-some-odd years, 25 years. But there's Anthems for Unwanted Wars, I think it is, but it was mentioned over 4 or 5 years ago, maybe longer, and there's a website for it. But cost, money, I mean, he talks about his uncle helping fund the band and stuff like that. And, you know, he's dealt with some tragedy. I think his sister passed away. It was about 10 years ago, right when they were about to release, or right after they released the Revolution's Never Coming. But yeah, the Red Pains. If you like Muse or the Dresden Dolls, or like, I don't know. I mean, I'm reminded of Cloud Cult and Dredge at points in some of their music, and just the whole art style. So, anyways, moving on. So, I got a bunch of CDs and a cassette. I'll show the cassette first. So I got the Antimai, the Deer Hunter Antimai cassette tape. Even though I have a shelf system right over there that I could use it still. I could still play cassettes on. I don't have a cassette player in my car anymore, of course, but haven't listened to it, of course, on the cassette, but it's cool to have. You know, it was on, they were selling it, and booklet, of course. Here's the little booklet. Doesn't have the map, unlike the what the CD had. I've tried to ask Casey about that. I'm seeing the Deer Hunter on Wednesday, so expect for me to be talking about them a fair amount in this video and in like a review probably on Thursday. Probably Thursday I'll do a review of the concert. But yeah, great record. It's cool to have something from the Deer Hunter on cassette tape. A lot of my favorite bands, obviously, I don't have any cassette tapes from. So, all right, the CD roundup. I've got this one here I got on vinyl. It was like about 6-9 months ago, and I finally found it on CD. It wasn't exactly cheap, but I found it domestically at least. It was hard to find domestic on Discogs. This is the No 2 album, which Kevin Gilbert produced or co-produced, played keyboards and some guitar and some other stuff. And of course is led by, well, it's a duo. It's Robert Ferris, who is a songwriting partner of Kevin's. And this guy named Chris Kello. And I talked about this when I showed the vinyl, but it's good to finally, I've been listening to it. Musically, I mean, there's some moments that remind me of Kevin Gilbert, and of course, I'm going to talk, I should just mention the thing about Robert Ferris in a minute here. But it's more like almost like Minneapolis sound, kind of Prince, The Time, and like Jermaine O'Neal, that kind of element, Ready for the World. Some of it's kind of in that vein. Some of it's just pop, like 80s pop R&B. I mean, shades of almost New Jack Swing at points, but you have Robert Ferris. I mean, Chris Kello is also a singer. Sometimes I get mixed up which one's which, but My Heart Is in the Game was the single, so I'm still listening to it, but getting more into it. So I'll just add one or two notes about Robert Ferris. I made a list. I could post it actually on the community page. I was asking the Kevin Gilbert community about this because Robert Ferris, it's been interesting how there's a bunch of songs that he either wrote or co-wrote that I love from Kevin Gilbert. Big Heart, This Warm Night from Giraffe. He was an original member, I believe, of Giraffe, or at least that's how they came up with the name Giraffe, because they were combining Gilbert and Ferris. They're trying to come up with a name. Kevin explained once in that interview they did on one of the national news channel. I think it was CBS but maybe it was MTV. I can't remember. Anyway, he has a couple other ones he did. He wrote, he co-wrote or mostly wrote Water Under the Bridge from The Shaming of the True. So, I mean, and he's a few others, and he sang on a few of other Kevin tracks. He was a songwriting partner, and I was just enamored. I'm more and more curious about, because of his talents with Kevin Gilbert, and like listening to this a little bit now, what he's done. And he hasn't done a lot, but he's got one other album from this band it was called The Trod, something like that. It came out in like 2009, but he's kind of the music industry kind of was disillusioned by it, I guess, a little bit like with what has happened to Kevin. Some other artists, like Fido, people that could have pursued a career in their own original music, and the industry kind of just, I don't know. So I can sort of follow, and like Patrick Leonard in the Toy Matinee 20th anniversary, like the special edition, talked about wanting to make another record. My first thought was, who would be the singer? Would they get Richard Page again for they did with the Third Matinee, or would they just call on someone else? Maybe someone like Robert Ferris, but he probably wouldn't be interested based on what his wife chimed in on the Facebook group. But I want to see if I can get the Trod CD. It's called like the Great something, the Great Cap, I forget. But it's yeah. I mean, I really think the guy has a lot of the brief amount of history, the brief amount of work that I've heard from him. I'm really impressed, and I want to hear more from him. And the No 2 album is included with that. So all right, so I have, thanks to Scott Lade from the Prog Corner, I listened to this one day a few weeks ago when he sent this. This is the Wedge Piece album Absolute Bliss, which I think came out in 2008. So I don't think most of the vocals are Scott's, but it's kind of, a lot of it's stripped down, acoustic, singer-songwriter-ish. I mean, for someone who loves progressive rock, I wouldn't call it dramatically progressive rock, but you know, there's a lot of artists that are influenced by stuff that their music doesn't sound anything like, but you can see Scott right there and everything. But I thank him again for sending me the CD, and it sort of reminds me more of like a 90s. It sounds like music from the 90s, like 90s sort of acoustic guitar, rock, singer-songwriter, stuff that I'd hear on Cities 97, but it's a long record. It's like 14 or 18 tracks. That's the other thing I reacted to. Remember there was a couple of them that I kind of favorited, like My Accomplice. That was one of the ones I liked in a million years, but I mean the styles of the songs don't vary that much though, just having listened to it like just briefly. So, but anyway, I'm still glad I got it. It was really nice of him to send it to me, and you know, nice that someone I know on the YouTube community, a progger like, you know, Scott from the Prog Corner also has done his own music. I've always wanted to do my own, and I've never done it. I wanted to write one song. I have ideas for songs, but, you know, I've never done it. So the last two CDs here, and I'll move on to the vinyl for this epic haul, are from The Warning. Of course, I got a copy of Air on CD, their album from 2022, which I can report that their next record, because this record was written and even recorded somewhat like almost pre-COVID, or like, yeah, it was right before COVID. So they've had a number of years to sort of work on new music and have ideas for new music. But as a whole, this is one of, it's finished in my top 10 records from last year. I'm glad to get a copy of it on CD. And then I did get Queen of the Murder Scene on CD also, which has, is this the one that has, because they have the two records that predated Air, and I'm about to show one of the other ones. It has, I think it had, it's like Psychotic Hunter, Crimson Queen, Dust to Dust. This is the concept album, and the title track, Dull Knives, that's the one. Dull Knives is like a favorite of mine, but I'm still kind of taking in, and I listen to The Warning, you know, if I'm not listening to Air, it's kind of weird. The girls there a few years ago, I mean, they're still really young, but this came out when they were like, Danny, the lead singer guitarist, is maybe like 19. This is their second record. It came out, I think it was 2019. 2018, actually, so. But yeah, it's cool to get this on CD. You know, I only need to get one more of their albums on CD, and I'll have them. I don't have the Mayday EP, unfortunately. But again, I can report that there's two of the new songs they played live, and they're working on a new record, and it's probably going to be out in 2024. So, in fact, let me just to follow that up, because it makes sense, even though it's not alphabetical. So I also bought a copy of their debut album on vinyl, 21st Century Blood. So I have Air on vinyl already. I bought that a few months back. It was back early this year or late last year. But yeah, you look at how old they were there. This is where they were really. I mean, Danny maybe was 17 there. So, but is this the one that has Survive? Yes, and Survive is one of my favorite tracks. There's like this inertia. I mean, mostly live, but on that song. Yeah, it comes with a poster and big lyric sheet, but you know, this is original music. They released this independently. I mean, you know, but they were so young. They were high school, and like the bass player, Allie, was even younger. I don't know how old she was, maybe 13 or 14 when this was done. So this came out, let's say 2017. So. Yeah, the thing is, I was talking to my coworker about The Warning today again. We talk about them regularly because he's part of the Patreon and everything. But they've been a band. He was saying that talking about the Patreon for 10 years. Their new record, we don't know what it's going to be called, but may have something to do with that. But yeah, no. So it's cool to have The Warning, of course, have the records, you know, and. We don't know how much, because you can't even find these in stores. It's only online. It's only through them, like their own, like you can't find it at Walmart, Target, or I don't believe Electric Fetus or even some of their local stores even have their records, which is stupid because they need it. If they have limited pressing, if they could press more of them, they probably would. Now I've really done a number on this. I need to make sure this goes back in here so I don't damage it. There we go. I got those other cases which I need to start using, thanks to my friend Christian from Costa Rica. But yeah, that's 21st Century Blood from 2017, the debut album from the Warning. So now I'll go alphabetical the rest of the way. So all right, here's the large vinyl haul. So first record I actually showed in the prog stream on Women Who Prog, Prog Women, top 100 Prog Women, which you can see it on the Prog Corners channel. This is Anathema's We're Here Because We're Here from 2010, the first album they released on K-Scope. And I think Steven Wilson mixed this. Yeah, he mixed this album. That's besides the fact that it's my favorite Anathema record, although this is when I first started getting into them. I have Alternative 4, and I've listened to things here and there, some of their earlier records like Silent Enigma, but really, yeah, this record, the one that followed, Weather Systems, even Falling Deeper, I really like, and the one after that, Distant Satellites, Standard Black. It's not that thick of a pressing. Cool picture though. This has, it has a number of tracks. Angels Walk Among. Is it Angels Walk Among Us? That's I think that's the title of the one that I frequently go to. Yeah, Angels Walk Among Us. But The Air, Summertime Horizon, The Air is epic. Universal, Hindsight. I mean, Anathema, we don't know what their future holds, unfortunately. But if they don't ever put any more music out, they had a great run. This was their 2010 music, I guess you could say, for me. I have their last record, The Optimist, on vinyl too. The one I found for a really reasonable price at Cheapo a few years back. But yeah, no, great record. One of the best records of the 2010s for me. Progressive art rock, you want to call it or whatever. And as I said on the prog stream, I kind of felt like these guys, starting with this record and the subsequent, kind of filled the void that was some people felt when Porcupine Tree basically went on hiatus. So, all right, so I have two records from this artist. Of course, these just came out, brand new releases. This came out in September. This is the live Act 1 they did as a stream they put on their Pillar performance, the full Act 1 of The Deer Hunter. I don't know if I'll be bringing this with on Wednesday night to have it signed. I'd like to, but red vinyl. I mean, I love Act 1. I remember seeing this. I actually didn't see it when it came up because I wasn't a member. I'm not a member of the Pillar, which is kind of sacrilege, but you can only do so many of these things. But I remember feeling bad that I didn't actually get to see this initially. And then they put it up, and I watched the Act 2 one. I paid for that, and then they had access to this performance as well. And I mean, it's just magical, this album. Even though it's only 30-some minutes, the debut. It has, of course, his hand matches Tongue, so the live version's great, the harmonies and stuff. City Escape, Inquiry Miss Terry, 1878. To hear that stuff all in one swoop played live was great. Master at Rogue Planet. And this, of course, was still when Gavin Castleton was still in the band, of course. This is back in... It was recorded, it was done in 2021, and then, we're completed in 2022, because it was going to come out last year, actually. I remember them talking about that, or early this year, if not last year. So then, of course, they just released a few weeks ago, also, that came out in September, the Migrant Returned, which they're going to be doing, I'm pretty sure, a lot of this stuff at the show on Wednesday I'm going to. They started the tour just like last week, and I couldn't help but peek at the set list, but cool. I've listened to it like 2 or 3 times, and I'm liking it. Some of the songs do sound better. I mean, they're really, the mix is better for one thing. Some of the songs I'm not, like, I think of Migrant for about 3 or 4 tracks. I mean, how you evaluate this album, I think of it for Whisper, Shame, and Bring You Down. Those are like the sort of the most memorable tracks on this record. But and then I've mentioned many times, last year when I was doing the Deer Hunter series, talked about how I love the Migration Annex, and of course this does have the songs from the Migration Annex. I have one comment I could say about it though. My favorite song on the Migration Annex, but there's a bunch of them. I love a lot of them, but probably my favorite, and I'd probably say it's my favorite among this whole bunch of songs is the song Old Demons. And it's not labeled as Old Demons on... Actually, it is. It was a misprint online, but it's like the second to last track. So it's like... This is like 18 tracks. You can see 18 songs. 18 cuts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14... Yes. And Owls is another one I love, and that's right before it. So, yeah, I kind of feel like if you're going to redo and just revisit and just reimagine Migrant, which that's what this to me really is, it's a reimagining of it in a lot of ways, maybe put Old Demons a little earlier in the album. But, you know, they decided to put it in the track where they wanted. I would have put Old Demons, I would have put Owls, I would have put Dig Your Own Grave. Those three, especially, in the first half. I would have put at least one or two of them. But, whatever, you know, it's from a production standpoint, it's great. I already showed this, but, and from an arrangement standpoint, it's kind of a breath of fresh air. It's kind of reevaluating in a little bit this whole, and you get the whole thing on one. That's the other real big advantage, is if you don't have the migration annex, which I'm not sure it's even really available. You can listen to it on Spotify, but if you don't have it on vinyl, it's cool to have that and with Migrant songs in one release. So, yep, my Migrant returned from the Deer Hunters. So, all right, moving on. Dream Theater. I went to Ken Golden. I went to because 0 Hour, the Towers of Avarice, their masterpiece second record from 2001 is coming out on vinyl. Pre-orders are already up on lasercd.com. From Ken Golden with the Laser's Edge. So I just looked, and that's where I found the Anathema record, and then I found this, and I've wanted this ever since I knew they re-released it. This is the Falling Into Infinity demos, you could say, basically, yes. And it's on Spotify too, but of course, Falling Into Infinity had that whole process where, you know, the songs, there were many songs that were written that didn't end up on Falling Into Infinity because the label got so involved. And then we heard them on the Clean Out the Closet CD. Later, a lot of fans did. And they played some of them live, like Raise the Knife, and then, of course, the acoustic. So I love a lot of those Falling Into Infinity songs, or songs from the Falling Into Infinity period with Derek Sherinian that were not on Falling Into Infinity. So, so this includes Raise the Knife, The Way It Used to Be, Cover My Eyes, Speak to Me, which is great. I have that as a B-side on CD from the Falling Into Infinity, the import. I showed that. You or Me, which I don't hate you not me, but You or Me is better. Most people feel like it's better what Desmond Child changed and rearranged that song. It's got the Metropolis Part 2 studio tape, which with Derek Sherinian, that's... You take that with a grain of salt. It's got some others like demos of Lines in the Sand, Just Let Me Breathe. Some of these I don't know if I've even heard all of them. Because not all of these were on the Christmas CD, on the Clean Out the Closet CD from 1999. I probably found them on Where Are You Now is another one. Take Away My Pain, the demo of that. So, yeah, I mean, now I have basically the whole era of music. This is 3 LPs. That's how... Look at that. This is actually 3. Yes, it is. So this is a triple. This is one of only a couple triples that I have. Well, you know the pressing's thick, and it is thick. Dream Theater Golden Archives, Lost but Not Forgotten. Is it Lost Not Forgotten? Lost Not Forgotten. Yeah. But yeah, I have all, because I have Fallen Into Infinity, of course, on vinyl. I just don't have a Change of Seasons still. That will probably happen only in due time. They're all like, this is like brownish. Well, some of them are like that other one with blue, and I don't want to get a paper cut here. I nearly did. I guess it's sort of a downside. No, it's not. It's like a grayish brown. They're all like that, just with the blue label, blue and like navy blue and baby blue label. So there's a whole bunch of these Dream Theater. They're basically the You'd Say Jam records that Mike Portnoy ran up through his website, or linked to his website for many years. Just repackaged, basically, a lot of them. And some of them have some extra material, but there's a lot of these Lost Not Forgotten releases that Dream Theater's been releasing on vinyl that I may pick up one or two more of them. I mean, some of the Images and Words ones, maybe Awake. Awake, of course, I love. At some point, I may not get them all because it's just a lot. But all right, so moving on. So I showed this, I think, in my Everything concert review last week. But was it last week? Whenever that was. It was like a week and a half ago. This is their debut album, Man Alive, the remastered, remixed version, which back in 2010 when I got into them, I mean, I had a soft spot for this band and this album specifically. And this is a really big book. They really, you know, went the whole 9 yards. I did find my CD, which is on my left, looking for some of this stuff, looking for the review. So I have this on CD signed. So I have a couple of their albums on CD, but this is a big, massive book from a band that has all the lyrics that you can't understand most of the lyrics from an album, specifically this album. And tons of credits and everything too. I don't think they reference my blog, even though my blog was probably one of the first ones that talked about them. But yeah, My Key's Your Boyfriend, of course. Schoolin' and that's when it comes with a poster too, just like the Warning record. A big poster of Man Alive, whatever it is, the Fox or whatever. Is it Fox? I think it's a Fox. So, all right. This is a double, I think. I think it's a double, or is it? Yeah. Well, did I already show that? Maybe not. No, I didn't show it. When you're going through so much, you know, it's just a standard black. This copy. You know, I feel bad because they had these for sale at the show, but I'd already bought it off of Amazon. They were talking about it on Twitter a few months ago, and I was a little gun-shy to buy it because I didn't know how much. It was not cheap, but I found it for a little bit less on Amazon than the link they were giving. But now I kind of feel like I wish I would have bought it at the show instead. But I end up buying this one, their new record, their latest one, Raw Data Feel, at the show. Which, you know, it's a long record. A lot of the records, they don't have too many records that have less than like 12 tracks. I still kind of feel the same way. To me, it's like 3.5 stars. The best songs on it I really like, and it's a little more electronic than some of their other records. And there's they used AI to write the lyrics for some of these songs. But this came out in 2022, of course, clear vinyl. I know Nathan on Shuffle has had this. He's had this in his background on his videos, and you know. So my verdict, or my most recent assessment after seeing it live is I probably like this album a little more than I did at the end of the year last year. I initially was kind of really into it. The first couple times I listened to it, I was like, yeah, I'm really liking this Everything album. But I'm starting to flip. I think I like this album a little more than Reanimator, the one before it. Yeah, I mean, as far as highlights go, I just make sure I put this back in here. Put the lyric sheets in there. I would go with Metroland is Burning. That song Cut Up, they didn't do it live. That's super catchy. That's super memorable. Metroland is Burning, Teletype, Pizza Boy. Pizza Boy is really catchy. Bad Friday. They did I guess in the review I saw them, the Varsity Theater, they did 7 or 8 tracks from this. So I just saw a lot of these songs live. Shark Week is okay. Leviathan. I think in a few years we'll probably appreciate this record more, maybe. I don't know. So moving on. Alright, this epic vinyl haul. I get to finally show some Marillion stuff that I'm still seeking some more stuff, but I tracked down some Marillion stuff I've been looking for. So I finally found a copy of Besides Themselves from 1988, the compilation of the B-sides, which includes, of course, the original, single of Grendel. And I found it in the U.S. It always showed up in other parts of the country, so you pay more for shipping. But yeah, this has got my favorite Marillion song. I mean, it's splitting hairs, of course, but push comes to shove, I still have a soft spot for Grendel. And it has Cinderella's Search. It has a lot of other songs that I really enjoy. I mean, this is a first pressing, so the thickness of this record. But on EMI, of course, charting the single, Three Boats Down to Candy, Market Square Heroes, and the Margaret Live Freaks. I've always had a soft spot. I remember I bought this at Roadrunner Records, the CD, and it was a big deal. They had to import that. I remember that, but a lot of people swore by Grendel, and they were totally on by that. So it was a really big deal. It was really great for me to finally pick this up. What I sort of consider the fifth album or LP with Fish, even though it's just a mix of, it's a compilation technically of a lot of the songs from Fish, from the singles with Fish. So I also did buy, and I bit the bullet, and I found this also, I believe. This is the Market Square Heroes, I believe. Yep. Single. 12-inch single, which has Grendel. So it's the same thing. So I kind of, I didn't realize this slightly damage on the back there, but so I kind of, you know, finally completed my Grendel vinyl completion. Although I guess you could say I still would like to get that picture disc. Granted, I would never listen to that, but that came out for Record Store Day. That was only in Europe, only in the UK, and that's why it's in there like that. A few years ago, it was like 2017, 2018. But got 3 boats down from Candy too, also. But yeah, I guess that's the only. The downside is that the condition of the jacket is a little bit, you know, it's a little damaged there, slightly damaged, unfortunately. But beggars can't be choosers, right? So I don't know if I want to keep it in this case like this or not. I mean, obviously it retains its condition better. Keeping your vinyl in great shape. So okay, to show a little more Marillion, I did get the 2013. I haven't opened this. Remix of Radiation finally. I don't have the original. I don't know if they pressed that on vinyl. They might have, but you know, this. I mean, I always liked Radiation. It's fairness. I used to not like it as much as This Strange Engine, but I've totally flipped on those two. But when I heard this, like a lot of fans, they kind of came around and their mind changed on a lot of it. It's got whatever, you know. Few Words for the Dead, which I just absolutely love. Mesmer, 3-Minute Boy, Under the Sun, The Answer Machine, These Chains. I love the string section on that, especially the arrangement on there. But yeah, it's great to have this record on vinyl. Oh, look at the art, the way that the design is. It's like, I hope this plays okay though. Look at that. Look at those lines. I don't know if those are where all the different grooves are. Possibly. This is the C and D side of this double album. You know, it's like most of the records I listen to, you know, if they're going to exceed 40, 45 minutes, they're going to have to be a double. And I found this for a reasonable price. That was the other thing. I didn't spend an arm and a leg for any of this stuff. You know, whatever. I can't remember how much it was. I think it was maybe $35. So, you know, you pay a little in shipping, of course. But so Radiation 2013 from Marillion. I'm getting pretty damn close to having every record from Marillion on vinyl, on full-length vinyl. Only a few left. So then I got the first part of Happiness is the Road. I got Essence, I believe this is Essence. The Hard Shoulder I still need. I think, right? Am I getting them too? Yeah, I got Essence, which is the first, whatever, A and B or whatever. And I just, yeah, this one, this was it celebrated its 15th anniversary. People were saying this past weekend. It released what I checked. It was originally released on September 10th. So I don't know. Maybe it was in different territories. Maybe it was in. I know this was an album that they ended up putting out digitally. Like they let anyone download it from their site. That was the whole thing. It's like, well, you can pay us if you want. We're gonna be issuing physical copies. Maybe the physical copies came out October 20th or whatever, October 21st. But yeah, so Essence, which has, I believe it's Trap the Spark, and has the title track, Knowing My Happiness is the Road, information. Yeah. It has State of Mind, Dreamy Street, The Train is My Life, Wrapped Up in Time. It's the more soothing, melodic, you know, meditative, sort of mid or slower tempo of the two. Hard Shoulder has more of the energetic tracks, but it's a mixture though. You know, and again, it's a record that, it's a double album. It's like marbles, you could say, and are there any other examples of that with Marillion? Where there's a lot to unpack. I mean, it's just, and it's one that I'm still sort of, and I need to do like an album study more. I did the video on it, but I just like to write notes down about every song and go through it a few different times sometime in the future. Down the road when I have more time, which doesn't seem to be happening. So, nearing the end here, I have a couple more to show. So Muse, I talked about how I've been a Muse fan for many years, and I'm going to be doing a Muse and a Coheed and Cambria collaboration with Death by Unicorn. Probably coming up, it will be uploaded probably sometime this weekend, or early next week. This is their album Black Holes and Revelations. I want to pick up at least the essentials from Muse, and that's not spoiling too much, but one of the essentials, one of 3 or 4 albums I consider from Muse as sort of essential. It has, of course, their showstopper, maybe their, in some ways, the most famous song, Knights of Sidonia. It came out in 2006, but it has Starlight. Actually, Starlight's probably more famous than Knights of Sidonia, but Knights of Sidonia is like a fan favorite and a showstopper, and probably the biggest riff they ever wrote. I mean, it's arguably Stockholm Syndrome, some others, but I would go with Knights of Sidonia in some ways. Assassin, City of Delusion, Map of the Problematic, or Matique, among some others. It's a great record. It was, some people think it was their peak, or some people think it was the beginning of their downfall, but I've always liked this album. It was kind of my generation because I got into them after Absolution came out, so this is the new record that had come on. Mike Portnoy was talking about this every day on his forum, for not every day, but every month or whatever, for a few weeks. So, all right, so yeah, 2 more left here. So there's another big release. I talked about 0 Hours, Towers of Avarice coming out soon, progmetal classic of the 2000s. Here's another one that definitely goes in that category. This is Orphan Land's Mabul record. Now, none of the Orphan Land albums, kind of like everything, are short, but and this is a double, of course. I was thinking it might even be a triple. But this is the album that got me into them. They played at Prog Power a few different times I saw them, but this is progressive death, like ethnic, Middle Eastern folk progressive death metal in some ways. This is just a fantastic album. I'll admit I bought it, and I was only on the fence about them, and the growling wasn't something I could tolerate that much. I mean, I just started to listen to Opeth in the last year when I got into this. This came out in 2004. But then when I got into Opeth a little more, I was like, I can like growling a little bit, I guess, even though it's sort of funny. This was one of my go-tos, and I kept on going back to it and started to really appreciate it. Because when I initially got this album, it came with a bonus disc, which was a bunch of acoustic pieces, and I'm not sure if this has it. It might. This is A and B, though, which had the Orphan Jam, but the acoustic was all clean vocals. The acoustic extras that the CD I got has. Yep, it does. Because it has Tel Aviv 2011. No, that would have been later. I don't know. But anyway, as time grew on and finally I got more into extreme metal and tolerating growling and stuff like that, this album was a go-to, and I just grew to appreciate it more and more. And it's a classic. And they have a lot of other good records that I enjoy, but this still remains my favorite. I mean, Oceanland, A Call to Awake, Building the Ark, A Calm Before the Flood, the title track of Mabul. The energy is just off the charts on this record. It's just so good. The way they use different layers and the male-female vocals and the different instrumentation and just the riffs and the compositions. And it's a concept album about whatever. It's called Mabul, the story of 3 sons of 7. About the Ark, about Noah's Ark of some kind. Although, you could say Hotel Laughing Trees, Tearing Everything After is about Noah's Ark as well. So the last one I'll show, and I think I did show it briefly, maybe not when I did my review. It was the new Team E album I got on. I think I did show this, but I didn't put it in this section. Anyway, this is Return to the Riverside, one of my favorite records of the year. It's going to be in the mix when I do the albums of the year in the next couple months. I like every track on this album. I mean, that's the only thing. I think it's sort of greater than the sum of its parts. There aren't as many sort of number 1, number 2 banger tracks, but every song has some stuff to like. And it's got, remember, I don't know who this guy is on the front. Looks like a priest. But the Norwegian band that, they have their Mew moments, of course, but I think they sound like, and the Polyphonic Spree, but they have their own sound, really. With this album, I think this album's a little more acoustic in some ways, but the songwriting's still there. That's the thing, is there's melodies, there's harmonies, there's energy, the songs don't go on too long, there's different percussive elements. A little bit like Small League Sing Ships in some ways, in that sense. So that's it for this epic haul. Like I said, I got some other stuff coming, including the new Small League Sing Ships, because it's really hard when you go on to Discogs and you see these vinyl records that are like $20, $15, $25. Like, if I was in a store, I'd buy this, right? So I think about my budget and stuff. Yeah, I'll buy it. And so I got some stuff coming, including some stuff that aren't vinyl. But thank you for watching and making it through this long, epic vinyl and collection haul. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Please comment, and I'll see you next time.